A very good evening. Welcome to Newswatch tonight as we bring you news that made headlines today. My name is Melisa Oduor. Boniface Muredi is on the sign language interpretation tonight. Newswatch begins now. The United States of America has accorded President William Ruto and First Lady Rachel Ruto a full ceremonial state honor as their three-day state visit to the U.S. officially kicks off today. President Ruto and the First Lady arrived at the Andrews Air Force Base in the capital, Washington, D.C., and were received by U.S. First Lady Jill Biden. Now, this marks the beginning of the second phase of President Ruto's U.S. state visit. During his time in Washington, D.C., President Ruto will participate in various engagements and meetings to underscore the importance of U.S.-Kenya cooperation in advancing foreign policy and global stability. Ruto will also make a historic visit to the White House, making it the first time an African leader has made a state visit in 16 years. Meanwhile, Kenya's education sector is set to receive a substantial investment of nearly 4.2 billion shillings from the United States to bolster new partnerships between universities in Kenya and the U.S., as well as foster collaboration with industry stakeholders. This is in a bid to catalyze innovation, research, and job growth in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM-related fields in the country. The partnership agreement between the U.S. and Kenya was formalized during President William Ruto's visit to the U.S., where the host country also pledged an additional 430 million shillings for Kenyan students to study under the new Kennedy Mboya Education Airlift Program between the U.S. and Kenya. Grace Ahati reports.
President William Ruto's state visit to the United States has yielded significant results as Kenya's education sector is set to benefit from an investment of nearly 4.2 billion shillings from the U.S. This investment aims to foster new partnerships between the universities and industries in both countries, enhancing collaboration and knowledge exchange. The funding announcement was made during the strategic partnership signing event in Atlanta, USA, during President William Ruto's 4-day U.S. visit, in which Clinton White, Chancellor for USAID, highlighted that this initiative marks a milestone in the 60-year partnership between Kenya and the United States. As part of this collaboration, at least 60 Kenyan students are also set to benefit under a new 430 million Kennedy Mboya Education Airlift Program between the U.S. and Kenya. According to White, the program seeks to support and empower the next generation of Kenyan scientists, researchers, and engineers by providing them with educational opportunities in the United States.
Kennedy and Mboya partnerships will also strengthen connection between American and Kenyan universities and include two-way exchanges of our faculty and researchers working in STEM fields. As you can hear, the U.S. government is incredibly proud of all of these past, present, and future exchanges and partnerships between Kenyan and U.S. institutions of higher education.
During his speech at the event, President Ruto expressed optimism that this initiative will not only foster economic growth, but also contribute to global security. The head of state, however, raised concerns over the persistent underrepresentation of women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM fields, exuding hope that these new partnerships will provide opportunities to address this issue.
I am concerned about the persistent underrepresentation of women in STEM, posing a grave challenge to inclusive development in other sectors. Despite evident progress, Kenya faces a significant gender gap in STEM at all levels, from education to the workforce. Our partnership must therefore be intentional about promoting women's participation.
The Kennedy-Mboya partnership was initiated by former U.S. President John F. Kennedy and former Kenyan Minister Tom Mboya after the two met in 1959 at an international conference in the U.S.
This partnership is one of the most successful achievements in the history of our relations. It begins with the ambitious people-to-people project, which we have come to know simply as the Mboya Airlift or the Kennedy Airlift, a visionary scholarship program initiated by two iconic leaders, T.J. Mboya, a Kenyan freedom fighter and architect of our post-independence development agenda, and J.F. Kennedy, a global symbol of American soft power as a force for universal good, and of course, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Grace Ahati.
Thank you, Grace, for that report. Now, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, has hosted a ministerial meeting today focused on transboundary pest management, attended by member state representatives, Agriculture Ministry officials, and non-state actors. The meeting addressed the pressing issue of desert locust infestations, which are exacerbated by climate change. This as IGAD aims to develop sustainable strategies for managing and controlling these destructive pests. Here's Mumbi Waweru with that report.
The Ministry of Agriculture has hosted a delegation from the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, to discussing on ways to manage the transboundary pests that have been a threat in the region. Jonathan Mweke, Principal Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, underscored the important role of agriculture in ensuring food security and sustaining a significant portion of the workforce. As part of the initiative, the ministry will conduct a one-day training session on pest management to share expertise and enhance regional capabilities.
Your presence here highlights our collective commitment in addressing the severe challenges posed by transboundary pests that threaten our agriculture, our ecosystems, and our very livelihoods. To address these challenges, the upcoming steering committee and ministerial meetings of transboundary pest management, organized by the Interregional Platform for Managing Transboundary Pests, will aim to address the significant threats to food security posed by transboundary pests. They will facilitate international collaboration, align policies across borders, and enhance our understanding of the impact of climate change on pest dynamics. For the IGAD region, the meetings will coordinate efforts to monitor and control pests, strengthen regional capacities in biopesticide use, and develop a comprehensive action plan.
IGAD Executive Director Wok Bagebeye, who highlighted the serious threat that transboundary pests pose to agriculture and food security, which are already in a fragile state. He also noted IGAD's success in averting a desert locust outbreak in the last quarter of 2023, a disaster reminiscent of the major incident in 2019. This achievement underscores the importance of continued vigilance and collaborative efforts in pest management.
The very objective of this meeting, Your Excellencies, is Despite favorable ecological and weather conditions during the rainy season of October, November, and December 2023, the region successfully avoided another desert locust outbreak similar to or worse than that of experienced in 2019-2020. This achievement highlights the crucial role of the platform in coordinating early warning and early action, resulting in significant cost saving and reduced use of synthetic pesticides, thereby minimizing negative environmental impacts.
IGAD will also improve on contingency planning, capacity building, and educating the people on ways to curb pests and ensure food security.
Our Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has rooted for subsidies on the cost of energy-efficient equipment alongside green energy sources like solar panels and biogas. Speaking while opening the International Energy Agency's 9th Annual Global Conference on Energy Efficiency in Nairobi, Gachagua said the subsidy will lower the cost of installation of green energy sources and efficient equipment and accelerate mitigation of climate change. Nelia Swanjiru with more.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has called for establishment and promotion of proficient and efficient energy systems in all sectors of the economy, as well as sustaining deliberate efforts of incorporating and doubting energy efficiency in every strand of development, saying it will reduce pressure on the already strained resources. Speaking while opening the International Energy Agency's 9th Annual Global Conference on Energy Efficiency in Nairobi, Gachagua said introducing subsidies will lower the cost of installation of green energy sources and efficient equipment and accelerate mitigation of climate change.
Going green and clean is not enough. We must establish and promote proficient and efficient energy systems in all sectors of our economy. States across the globe are working harder with partners on achieving SDGs by 2030, even as Africa remains focused on a transformed continent as underpinned by Agenda 2063. Such transformation rides on enormous energy. Meeting the growing demand during this decade does not always call for huge generation capacity expansion, but unlocking conservation and efficiency in consumption.
The DP has also called for a sustainable joint resource mobilization, partnership and investment from local and international actors. This as Kenya continues to lead Africa and globe in climate action through accelerated investment in various initiatives, key among them transition to green and clean energy.
While we have lost biodiversity in destruction of forests and other natural resources to farming, integrating sustainable agriculture and food systems remains central to a clean environment. This is besides innovations that recycle from waste into green energy in form of biogas, electricity for machinery, and other domestic use, especially clean cooking. While food is an important resource, we must work on affordable, easy-to-use innovations, more so for our farmers.
On his part, the CS in charge of energy and petroleum, Davis Chirchir, noted that through this collaboration, they are set to strengthen the energy sector through sustainable development goals.
Through this collaboration, we are poised to strengthen our energy sector and advance towards sustainable development goals. Kenya Association with the IEA underscores our commitment to international energy standards and best practices. It enhances our potential to attract increased private capital inflows to our energy sector. Additionally, our partnership with the IEA facilitates capacity building and knowledge exchange, empowering us to implement effective energy policies and technologies tailored to our specific needs and challenges.
The executive director of the International Energy Agency, Dr. Fatih Birol, said that Kenya, being among the countries that have borne the burden of climate change, and the government should be committed to be on the lead in combating the phenomenon through raising awareness on the negative effects of climate change, as well as heavily promoting and pushing the planting of trees.
If you hit the energy efficiency standards, you could save a lot of energy from cooling and from heating expenses there. One of our jobs is to make sure that the governments work together. In fact, the idea of having such a global annual energy efficiency conference is to bring everybody together.
The conference provides an opportunity to identify gaps both nationally and internationally to further engagement with the private sector on how they can plug in and further the plan by the government in the energy and manufacturing sectors and other sectors of the economy. The conference comes just in time as Kenya is championing 100% clean energy as per the COP28 commitment on zero carbon emissions. Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, my name is Nelias Wanjiro.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC today held their conference on the regional platform to fast-track the implementation of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption in East Africa, just a week after they launched their annual report of activities and financial statements for the year 2022-2023. At the conference addressed areas of asset recovery and financial investigations, whistleblower protection, public procurement and integrity systems, and private sector collective action against corruption. Here's Lowell Mason with details.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, convened at the conference of the regional platform to fast-track the implementation of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption in East Africa. On among other issues was the recovery of assets and financial investigations, whistleblower protection, public procurement and integrity system, and private sector collective action against corruption.
The conference is about fast-tracking and implementing the UN's Convention Against Corruption. But a convention is meaningless unless you do something about it. It's about taking down those who are corrupt from the lowest of society to the top of society, to get the money that needs to be invested in our countries around the region back into the pockets of government and back into the pockets of the people we serve. And that's why hosting this conference in Kenya under the leadership of His Excellency, the Chief of Staff of Government, but also under the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is so important. And it's having the independence of the EACC, having them well funded, more funded, is vital to getting money back into the pocket of the National Treasury of Government in Kenya, but across our region as well. So thank you for being here. Thank you to the press for showing their interest and taking the time to be here today.
I am the Inspector General of Government of Uganda, but I'm also newly elected president of the East African Association of Anti-Corruption Agencies. And so we're here to support and to work together with the UNODC to ensure that we implement the decisions or we fast track the decisions of the United Nations Conventions Against Corruption in the region. I'm very grateful for the support that we are getting from the international community, UNDC and others.
Head of the Public Service Felix Koskei, in his remarks, recognized the shared challenges faced by the governments across the continent, particularly in East Africa, as they confront the detrimental impacts of corruption on both socio-economic progress and the region's global prominence. He underscored the government's pledge to rejuvenate the economy, cultivate employment opportunities, mitigate the burden of living cost, enhance foreign exchange reserves, and champion on ethos of inclusive growth.
The EACC has recovered whether they need to retain and use is a question of law, where we will allow the process of the law, the judiciary, treasury, and also the parliament have to discuss and agree on how to ensure that they are well financed, well resourced, and if it ends up to be an option, then that we will take it seriously, because we want them to be capable, to be able to do their job independently, but at the same time very swiftly, so that we can stem this corruption that has messed us up for a long time. Thank you.
Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, Lowell Mason.
My director says we take a fast short break here on Newswatch. We'll be back with more news after these messages. Are you ready to celebrate the brilliance, resilience, and outstanding achievements of remarkable women in East Africa? Hope Media, in partnership with BH Media Agency, brings you the East Africa Women of Excellence Awards Kenyan chapter. The East Africa Women of Excellence Awards Kenyan chapter aims at celebrating and honoring the unsung women trailblazers and the change makers in various fields of influence. Visit our website at www.womenofexcellenceawards.co and vote a woman of impact in the various categories. Let's celebrate the incredible achievements of women together, and don't forget to tune in on the 14th of June this year as we honor the winners. For partnership and sponsorship, call Eunice on 0719 863 336 or Warren on 0724 514 998. You can also email customerexperience@hopefm.org. The East Africa Women of Excellence Awards, recognizing East Africa women of impact.
Aya, I'm not go TV stream. It's free. Eh? Go TV stream iko mkononi na ni free. Download Go TV Stream app for free. We enjoy live TV na shows kamia nane. Download and watch later, anytime, anywhere. Go TV Stream iko mkononi na ni free. Available to active subscribers. Go TV, love it.
To get Ebenezer by Jane Allaire as your Skiza tune, SMS the word Skiza 88300023 and send to 811. Hope Skiza, spreading the hope.
I don't think justice is there for everybody. Yeah, I don't think people experience the justice that they deserve. We might not want to believe it, but it's very shrewd. It works for the people it works, but for the people it doesn't. It really doesn't. And I know that there's a lot that needs to be done.
They're going to unlearn, or rather relearn new things that they have to do in life. Their mental spaces, their emotional spaces, so we take them through life skills, the normal SDG goals and what they are and what they mean.
And we're back with more news. Now, the owners of about 24 homesteads at Muthatari on the outskirts of Embu town have appealed to the national and county governments to help them drain flood waters that have made their homes uninhabitable. Approximately 100 homeowners and their tenants have been forced to abandon their houses, with those remaining having to live in unhygienic conditions as the flood waters are mixed with sewage effluent. Tess Njenga brings us that report.
Following the heavy rains that have caused flooding in Muthatari on the outskirts of Embu town, Jane Kivoti is found trying to drain water out of her living room with buckets. Jane says the tedious work has become a ritual she has to carry out every morning and every evening since the water keeps seeping through the walls and accumulating in her sitting room.
The floods have really affected us so much because, first of all, in the houses, it is very uncomfortable because there is water in the houses. There are a lot of mosquitoes and a lot of, the water is very dirty. It is mixed with sewage, so it's really very difficult. The water is actually seeping into my living room because my living room is sunken as per the construction of the house or the design of the house. So the water is seeping into the sitting room. So we have to ensure that water does not build up to now go to the other rooms. So every morning, every evening, we have actually to bed down with buckets to try to get the water out of the living room. It's very tedious, but what else do we do?
Another neighbor, Joseph Ndereva, said they have had to dispose of their livestock like chicken while their crops, including permanent ones like bananas, have turned yellow from being submerged for too long.
Right now as we are speaking, sisi tumekuwa sijui ni samaki because tunaishi kwa maji. As you have seen, maji imetutatiza. Mpaka imefika kiwango sasa hatutaki kusikia mvua. Sababu tukisikia mvua tunajua imekuja. Now tulikuwa wengi kwa hii mahali because hii mahali imeaffect boma 6. Lakini unapata kwa kila mboma iko watu wamepunguzwa because facilities za kutumia za on day life asiko. So unapata boma iko na mtu mmoja ya kumake sure hiyo mahali yake iko pale tu. Sababu kila mtu akiondoka iko wengine nao wanakuja kufanya mpango. So tumekuwa tukijaribu because hii maji ilianza kutusumbua 2020. 2020 tulipiga hii maji lakini it became not a solution. So this time round tukasema acha tungoje tuone iko namna. But it is still escalating.
Mimi ni mzazi wa daughter ako 9 months. Tuka tunaishi kwa hii area and then ndio janga ya maji ikaja tukaama. Tulizidiwa sana na hiyo maji, kukakuwa hata nyumba ikaliki, mtoto akaanza kuafektiwa. Sasa ikabidi hatuna alternative, ikakuwa ni emergency, tumeama. Hata hiyo kuama kutafuta nyumba ni shida, wengine tumeenda mbali zaidi, process yenye ni shida pia kwenye kwenda jua tuko na otherwise.
The flooding has also affected school-going children who now have to use a long route to access the nearby Gatondo Primary School. Rachel Mate said her entire family has caught the flu for living in a humid house. She said they dare not open windows to aerate their house because the outside air stinks because it is mixed with sewage.
Siwezi vaa viatu, maji ni mingi, mvua ya usiku ilishangia. Maji ikawa mingi sana na inasumbua kwa sababu tunatoka tukienda kazi, saa zingine unatoka na gambut, uende ufiche, uache pahali, ukuje njioni. Na kumekuwa hata na mosquitoes, kuna flies, sasa tunakaa tumefunga nyumba. Na tukifunga even that environment is not good. Kwa sababu tunafaa tufungue ndio fresh air ingie, na sasa hatuwezi fungua kwa sababu ile surrounding iko ni sewage.
Dereva said they have consulted an expert who has recommended a piped channel to the first marsh and an open furrow to the second wetland and the river. He said they now want the county government to assist them with mapping and pipe work to deal with the problem for good. Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Tess Njenga.
To some international news now, a tornado has killed multiple people in a small Iowa town as powerful storms swept through the Midwest. Homes and businesses in Greenfield were destroyed, cars smashed, and debris strewn across the landscape. Greenfield, a town of 2,000 people about 55 miles from Des Moines, endured the deadliest tornado of all. The town's hospital was among the buildings damaged, forcing the dozens of people who were injured to go elsewhere. Video footage showing the devastation across Iowa depicted flattened buildings, overturned cars, and broken wind turbines. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds is expected to visit Greenfield to assess the damage. Nebraska, Illinois, and Wisconsin were also hit by tornadoes, heavy rain, and power cuts. Consumers Federation of Kenya, COFEC, in partnership with the Critical National Infrastructure Fraternity and the Ministry of Interior and National Security, has announced proposed measures to curb the vandalism that has been affecting various critical national infrastructure in Kenya. Some of the proposed measures include the complete banning of copper exports, citing that the presence of the market is the main cause of vandalism for companies such as KPLC and the Kenya Railways. Ian Githuku attended the event and filed this report for Business News.
Vandalism has for a long time now been a menace to the critical national infrastructure fraternity. One of the main victims of vandalism is the Kenya Power and Lightning Company, which in the last year lost 365 transformers worth 328 million. Speaking at the Consumer Federation of Kenya Forum against vandalism of critical national infrastructure, the KPLC Managing Director and CEO Engineer Joseph Korir stated that the vandalism of towers and transformers has been one of the main causes of recent unplanned power outages, with the power utility company the leading victim of vandalism in Kenya. Engineer Korir revealed that this year, the company has so far had 78 transformers vandalized worth 78 million. He insisted on the need to put measures in place to eradicate vandalism, which is a huge loss to the economy, a burden to the taxpayer, and is unsustainable.
Vandalism causes unplanned outages, inconveniencing customers. It poses risks to human and animal lives, as vandals leave power infrastructure exposed, leading to the possibility of electrocution. There are also risks in power-dependent sectors without backup, like high dependency units, intensive care units, and newborn units. Vandalism hinders economic growth as it increases the cost of doing business, risks widespread power outages, compromises law and order, and leads to loss of foreign investor confidence, among many other negative effects.
Korir has meanwhile commended the government for the creation of Scrap Metal Council that has spearheaded the gathering of intelligence from the public through local chiefs and also educating the scrap metal dealers by advising them to source tracing for all aluminium and copper materials. This, as COFEC is proposing a total ban on all copper exports from Kenya.
We do highlight so much and bring to the front about transformers. Let me also say, part of what is vandalized is not only transformers. It's the earthing cables in a substation. And those ones even have a more serious impact. Because at times we may narrow down and just look at the transformers which are lost. But there are a lot of other substations which could have actually been damaged because the earthing cables, which are usually copper, were actually vandalized. And I do know, if I was to list the substations, there are quite a number.
On his part, the head of security for KPLC, Paul Nyaga, speaking on behalf of the critical national infrastructure fraternity in general, praised the Ministry of Interior for working together with COFEC in the continued gradual implementation of the Energy Act 2018, since it has been an avenue for more stringent actions. The Act criminalizes tampering with electricity supply installations, energy theft, vandalism, and damage of streetlights and power installation, attracting a 5 million fine or imprisonment or both. Nyaga commended the judiciary for its support in ensuring that those found guilty of vandalizing the company's facilities are dealt with accordingly, citing that between 2022 and 2024, they have had 12 successful convictions, with some vandals receiving jail terms as high as 30 years and 5 million fines. Another 166 cases are pending in court, and they are hoping for quicker conclusion. They added that with such tougher punishments, the vandalism perpetrators will cease their crimes.
Kuongea na members wetu wakati tunawapea license, tuna make sure wako na good conduct. Wakati kabla tuwapee certificate zetu, tuna make sure mtu tumemfuata tabia zake, tumejojua kidogo, then tunampea ile certificate.
On behalf of the Kenyan United Scrap Metal Dealers Association, Sam Wanjini has said that they have been issuing licenses only to scrap metal dealers who have a certificate of good conduct. Meanwhile, all dealers are currently doing source tracing of all aluminium and copper scrap metal sold to them, a method that has enabled them to help in catching criminals who sell items acquired through vandalism. Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, my name is Ian Githuku.
And the Eastleigh Business District Association EBDA has identified a number of key investment areas that members plan to undertake at the Konza Technopolis. Speaking when members of the association toured the Konza Technopolis, their chairman Ahmed Abdullahi said they intend to put up a referral and teaching hospital, invest in commercial businesses such as hotel, petrol stations, and also develop warehousing facilities. But the Vibrant Association was on a familiarization visit to Konza Technopolis as they sought to explore investment opportunities. The Eastleigh business community is credited with revamping the Eastleigh region in Nairobi, and they have investment in logistics, warehousing, hotel and restaurant, and commercial development. On its part, with the horizontal infrastructure already completed, Konza is expecting to see a flurry of activities as investors start to break the ground and develop their investment. Konza has so far onboarded over 150 investors.
kuna project moja kwa miaka nyingi sisi kama watu wa asili tulikuwa tunafikiria, na hiyo project ni Teaching and Referral Hospital. Tunataka kujenga hospitali kubwa yenye kutoa mafunzo kwa manasis, madaktari, na pia iwe referral ya special treatment badala ya watu kwenda India na pali pengine watibiwe hapa. Fadhali sisi tuungane tujenge hiyo, na ukijenga hospitali kuna mambo mengi itakuja. Hata yule mama anauza chai atapata biashara hapo, yule anataka kujenga manyumba pia residence atapata. Kwa hivyo hiyo ni project moja muhimu. Nimefurahi kusikia iko pale bustani nyingi ya kuburudika na msikiti iko. Tafadhali tusiamuke tu baada ya miaka 10 hivi alafu tuseme tulikuwa wapi, wakati hiyo maendeleo yote wengine wamechukua walipata nafasi, tulikuwa wapi?
To sports now, KDF has been crowned the 2024 champions with 49 medals at the 2024 National Athletics Championships. I beg your pardon. National Police finished second in the race with 34 medals, while Kenya Prisons was third in the table with 19 medals as AK National Championships came to an end today at the Ulinzi Sports Complex in Nairobi. Kenya Prisons' Lilian Odira clocked 2 hours, 2 minutes, 21 seconds to become the 800 meters national champion in the women's title race, while her colleague Kipngetich Ngeno clocked 1 hour, 45 minutes, 3 seconds to defend his 800 meters National Athletics Championships title ahead of Stanley Kebene of the KDF. Olympics 1500 meters champion Timothy Cheriot of Kenya Prisons won the bronze. And day 3 of the Kenyan teams at the ongoing ISF Football World School Championships was a bag of mixed fortunes with a red card and an own goal and elimination as well. The Kenyan girls pushed forth their qualification campaign from the group stages with a 2-2 draw with Ghana, saved from elimination thanks to an own goal by the West Africans at the 68th minute. The Kenyan girls held on to the draw to lead the group while Ghana were eliminated. England, who beat fellow Europeans Germany 2-0, are second. In Kenya's boys' games against Uganda, Uganda's Amos College startled their neighbors after Hussein Sharif's first-minute goal. Things got worse for the Kenyans in the second half following Busulwa Davis's second goal for the Ugandans in the 56th minute to end the match at 2-0 and subject Kenya to their first loss in the tournament. The teams now take a one-day cultural break to sample the delights of Dalian City. And that's how we wrap up Newswatch tonight. It's been my pleasure to bring you the news together with Boniface Muredi on the sign language. On behalf of the production crew behind the scenes, have a good night.